Welcome to Robotics and Automation News webinars, where you can be part of a global event without leaving your home or office. Attend our live webinars and communicate directly with influential professionals in your industry.
Hello, my name is Abdul Montakim. I'm editor of Robotics and Automation News.com. I'm here today with Erik Schluntz. I hope I've said his name right. He's the CTO and co-founder of Cobalt Robotics, which produces a security robot, which I'm sure Erik will tell you about.
Thanks for taking the time to talk. I wanted to tell everyone a little bit about Cobalt Robotics and what we're doing here. So Cobalt builds and operates indoor security robots. And what that means is robots that will patrol your office building, your warehouse, or your other facilities, looking for anything out of the ordinary. And then when we see this security anomaly or this event, we video call in a human security guard to help resolve the situation with a friendly face-to-face conversation. And really, this company is all about bringing people and robots to work together. These robots are really good at some things, and people are really good at the others. And we strongly believe that by using both together, we can create a solution that works best for everyone. So to wind back a little bit, Travis, my co-founder, and I started Cobalt about 2.5 years ago. And we actually started Cobalt with no idea what we were going to work on. But we wanted to find a problem rather than an idea for our startup. So we went out and we interviewed lots of different people looking for some sort of opportunity, some sort of problem that we could solve using the technology that we knew. And luckily, one of these people that we talked to ran physical security. And he told us all about nighttime security, how difficult it is for people to do, how expensive it is. And when he described the task and sort of why cameras alone aren't enough, there's no real-time response, we realized, hey, this is the perfect job for a robot, especially a robot working in parallel with people. So that's sort of how the idea for Cobalt was born, with directly going out and talking to customers and really trying to understand the problem space instead of just starting from an idea. So I think this quote really helps exemplify what we're doing. Robots help with the dullest, hardest parts of security without falling asleep, and they will alert the rest of your security staff only if there's something worthy of note. The idea here is that there's so much empty time in security. These sort of anomalies or events happen a couple times a year. You still need security all the time, but you need to be ready for these to happen when usually nothing is happening. So robots are really good at handling these very monotonous tasks without falling asleep. And then we help funnel the most interesting things to your security staff that can handle outlier events and can handle complex situations. And so in order to do that, we built, I think, a very interesting robot. And this robot was really designed from the ground up to operate with and around people. Because at the end of the day, security isn't about chasing away bad guys. It's about making employees feel safe and comfortable. And so, we couldn't go in and make some scary robot. This had to be something that people loved having around because that was his job. And I think to give a better sense of how it feels to have this robot around, we have a short video here that I'll play. So Cobalt is patrolling around this office building, detecting people around it, detecting its environment. We can detect people using the cameras or audio anomalies. And then we can video call in a human operator to help resolve a situation or talk to you to get you anything you need. Cobalt is not just detecting people, but detecting all sorts of security anomalies, like a door or window that's been left open, or anything out of the ordinary. After hours, the robot can ask you to scan your badge to make sure you're authenticated to be there. And the robot plugs itself into a charging station. to make sure it stays topped off and is ready to go all by itself. So that's sort of the Cobalt robot in a nutshell and how it fits into an office environment. So in terms of how Cobalt fits not just within an office building, but within a whole security program, right now security directors only have two tools. They have static access control, things like video cameras, badge readers, and they have security guards. And these things are orders of magnitude apart from each other in terms of cost and the value that they provide. And what Cobalt is this extra tool belt, or this extra tool to fit into a security practitioner's tool belt, where it fits between these two. It's something where you have nothing between these two options right now. And a lot of times you need more than a camera, you need more than a lock, but you don't need a security guard there all the time. For most office buildings at night, not a lot is happening. And so you don't need a person sitting there 24/7, but you can have a Cobalt robot because you do need to respond in real time to these events as they're happening. And as a basic summary of how this will actually work in your space, the robot goes and patrols the space looking for anything out of the ordinary. If we do detect something, it sends an alert to our robot operations center, where one of our robot specialists will review the alert and they can decide how to proceed. One of the most common ways to respond is to video call through the robot and have a face-to-face conversation with the person there. So maybe someone is in your office building at 2 in the morning, the robot will detect them, our robot specialist will get an alert, and they can video call in and say, hey, excuse me, could I see your badge after hours? Just like a human security guard would. And then the person in the space can show their badge and say, oh, I forgot my jacket, I'm just here to pick it up. So really it's about responding in the same way that a human would, but letting that human be in lots of different places at the same time. And there's not just sort of break-ins, there's all sorts of different unusual activity. I think this is one of my favorite pieces of activity that we've seen in a robot. One of our customers, the robot spotted 2 women carrying a metal box out of the office building. This is an office building that had servers in that floor, so this could have been a big security risk. The specialist was alerted. They drove up and video chatted and said, excuse me, can I help? What's going on here? It turns out it was completely innocuous. They had burned toast in the microwave and wanted to bring it out because it smelled bad. So our robot specialist was able to file. And so really what this is about is not just being security, but really being a friendly concierge and helping our robots help employees in any way possible, just like a human security guard would. It's also important for employee health and safety. We had an employee slip and fall in one of our customer sites. The robot was nearby and had been alerted because of the motion and loud sound. So our operator was able to drive up and confirm that the person was okay, asked if he needed to call for medical assistance. And, if that robot had been there and the person had been seriously hurt, it could have been very bad. The robot also uses a lot of cutting-edge machine learning to understand what's happening around it. So this is a cut of one of our data streams where the robot is not only able to identify people around it. The idea here is to really build this semantic map. You can see seeing a staircase that goes down, so it knows to go over a staircase and fall down. Basically, all these different sensors work together to help them have a safe understanding of its environment, so it doesn't bump into anything and can keep working properly. And that's sort of Cobalt in a nutshell, but I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions for you, and we can discuss some other sides of the robot.
Thank you very much, Erik. That was a fantastic presentation, very interesting, very polished and very high production values.
Thank you.
The machine itself is incredibly sophisticated. I suppose I should ask you first, how did you manage to build such a complex and sophisticated machine? How many people did you work with? Did it take to do that? And how did you manage? I mean, some of the maybe challenges and highlights of the process from beginning to from drawing board to realization, if you like.
Yeah, thank you for the question. This is a very complex piece of machinery, and we like to think of it as it's an autonomous car that just happens to be indoors. It has all the same sensors, the same compute power, and all the same tasks and responsibilities as an autonomous car, plus all the tasks of interacting with people and providing security. So the development of the product, I think, was we were able to assemble a really excellent team of engineers and roboticists and worked with best class other partners to help design this robot. We actually designed the robot and went from our very first idea to the first one of these deployed in just over a year. So it was a year with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears really poured into this robot. At the time, we had only 3 engineers, so it was we were working very long hours, working nights and weekends, but it all pulled together. And I think our focus on getting really top tier engineers that had worked on very interesting technology in machine learning, in robotics, in human robot interaction before really helped us do that.
Could you give me a bit more detail?
We have 4 cameras around the top that are all 4K resolution, so we can see people and see anything unusual from very far away. We also have a thermal camera that helps us spot anomalies at night in the dark or see temperature, and lots of other sensors inside the robot that actually help the robot know that it's healthy and know that everything's working.
Right, and just on the subject of challenges in development, I wondered, what did you find more difficult, if I can ask you, probably a very simplistic question. Was it the software side of it or the hardware side of it? Which bit was the more challenging?
So the software and hardware was both difficult, but I think something that was unexpected actually was this third part, which was the cultural adoption and the human-robot interaction. It turned out to be very hard. A lot of people, when they first hear about robots and security, they think RoboCop or Terminator, and that's not at all what we're going for. Security, as I mentioned, is all about making employees feel safe and comfortable. It's not about chasing out bad guys. And so it was very important that as we designed this robot, we needed to make the robot feel comfortable and friendly to be around. Because if the robot scared people, even if it was also scaring away bad guys, it wasn't doing its job. So we put a lot of time and energy and worked with a design firm called Fuse Project to really try to understand how this robot should interact with people and what the robot should look like and what the robot should feel like. I think one of the most interesting things to come out of that work was that the robot, the outside is actually made of fabric that's stretched between the top and the bottom, while most robots and machines are made of plastic or metal. And we chose fabric because it made the robot feel warm and comfortable and actually a little soft and squishy. And so it really helped give us this warm feeling and comforting feeling that security is supposed to provide. We're supposed to make employees feel comfortable, not scared. And so finding all these little changes in designs and even things about what sounds the robot should make, how quickly the robot should move and turn and accelerate, all helped us create a product that people really love having in their buildings.
Yeah, you preempted me a little bit because I was going to sort of be mischievous and ask you about the RoboCop type films and the security, the kind of things that happen in there. Obviously, that's a nightmare scenario, but this kind of thing reminds me, your machine reminds me of one or two others that I've seen. It's like it looks a bit like a telepresence robot, just ever so slightly, but it's autonomous in the sense that it operates mostly on its own. It's only when there's something to report to a human that a human gets involved. Otherwise, it's more or less on its own. So that's
exactly
a very interesting way of essentially saving costs, but without being, letting go of the mischievous side of the question. What do you see the future for this kind of thing in terms of maybe spin-off possibilities? Maybe, why not give it some sort of tool like a fire extinguisher or something. I don't want to say weapon or anything like that, but but I've said it now. So what do you think?
So that's an excellent question. I think the important thing to realize is that 99% of security guards are actually unarmed. This is a very big liability to actually go and try to stop a break-in. There's a big difference between a cop and a security guard, and a security guard's place is to do observe and report, and observe that something's happening, but really not try to intervene because that's not safe. And I think it's important for our robot to follow that same procedure of we're not there to try to stop something. We're there to try to deter something and to make sure the proper authorities are alerted if something does happen.
Okay, it's very interesting that you actually, it's very interesting because in my mind I'm thinking, are you a security company or a robotics company? And I know you're both, but in sort of traditional terms, you are a security company, which is using very, sophisticated monitoring tools, walking camera, which not only can see things and record things, it can do all sorts of other things. I don't know if you agree, maybe you want to comment on that, but I actually wanted to ask you about the typical cost savings, or what they call return on investment. I don't know the price of it, but the kind of thing that people buying it can expect. I don't know if you've done cost analysis or whatever you call them, but can you give me a sort of insight into that side of it, the business side of buying one of these?
Absolutely. So we actually don't sell our robots. We operate this as a service model. And I guess this ties into your other question, that we are absolutely a security company where we provide security to our customers, and we just happen to do that through a robot. And so for our customers, we bill weekly fee, just like a security company would for a human guard. So from day one, customers are saving a lot of money, and they're able to use our robots in places where they could never afford to have security before, whether that's expanding to after hours when they used to not have any after hours security guards, or adding security coverage to all of their satellite and smaller offices when before they only had manned security at their headquarters. So we really are this extra tool working alongside guards in different places to help a security director fill in and cover their entire security organization.
I wanted your overview of the market as you see it. You must have done, market research and thought about growth projections and the type of market it is, where it's growing, what type of companies would be interested in it. The good thing is that you've got a very traditional business model. You're a security company, and you're providing, you're going into the gap where you, as you say, the companies that might not be able to afford a 24-hour human security guard or that kind of service. That's where you're fitting in. But how's the experience been for you so far? And what do you think of the market so far? And what do you think?
Yeah,
How do you think the market is going to develop?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So the market has been very kind to us so far. The overall market is around $30 billion a year is spent on security guards in the US, and the total security technologies industry is much larger than that. And I think, we fit in sort of in between these human guards and all sorts of other security technology. All of our customers right now are asking for more robots faster than we can produce them, which is always a good sign. And I think it's really been amazing sort of over the last 3 years, going to security trade shows and conferences and watching as people in the security industry, which has not traditionally been the fastest moving industry, have gone from realizing that robots and AI and machine learning is sort of this fringe thing that might happen someday, to the exciting thing that's happening. And now suddenly it's everyone needs to be doing this or they're being left behind. So I think that we're seeing very fast adoption and very fast interest in the market, because I think security practitioners realize that this is the way security will be done in the future. It makes sense to use all of your resources as efficiently as possible.
Okay, and last question, I know you said last question last time, but one
That's
more.
fine.
The manufacturing of these things, you're probably, I don't know, you're probably doing a fairly limited number at the moment, but I was wondering where you make them. You probably build them yourself, or if not, at some point, what do you think the manufacturing process is going to be like for you? How have you set it up, and how do you see it developing?
Yeah, so we actually manufacture all the robots ourselves right at our headquarters, which is actually the same location that all of our operation center is at. So we have our engineering team, our robot operators, and all of our production all co-located so we can have a lot of synergies and everyone can understand all parts of the process. And that's been really helpful for us in moving very quickly and always iterating and improving the product with engineering and production right in the same building.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I can't think of any other important questions. I'm sure I could talk to you about it for ages, but is there something that I should have asked about that you maybe want to say that I forgot or failed to ask you? Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've covered most the stuff I wanted to talk about.
Great. Okay. Well, that's a wrap then, I think. Thank you very much. That's a really excellent video as well. Where did you make that yourself, or did you get a company to?
We worked with a design firm to help us produce the video.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Okay, thank you very much
right.
for your time and everything. Maddie will, I don't know if she's unmuted herself, but Maddie, if you don't mind.
Send us an email at sales@roboticsandautomationnews.com to register for one of our many upcoming webinars. And if you'd like us to host your webinar, we have a range of options, including long-term lead generation packages and marketing campaigns. We look forward to hearing from you soon.